Kobe. 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 Today we honor Kobe Bryant and the other lives lost in Sunday's tragedy.
Plus, we cover men's and women's basketball for Temple Hoops.
But first, let's take a timeout. Hello everyone and welcome into this new edition of Temple Timeout. I am Brian Steinmetz and beside me is Sean McGeehan, filling in for a flu-ridden Adam Miller. Now usually this program is light and jubilant, but the events of this past weekend are still raw and very much still on all of our minds. The loss of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna, along with 7 other individuals, have shaken not just the sports world, but the world as a whole.
Bryant's helicopter crashed into a mountain in Calabasas, California in foggy conditions around 10 a.m. Western time on Sunday, and the crash had no survivors.
Kobe will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's not up for debate. But not only is Kobe a Hall of Famer on the court, many people will tell you that his greatest performances came off the court as the father of his 4 daughters. After he retired, Kobe was completely focused on being there for his kids and teaching them as much as they could handle, and in doing so, taught the world a thing or two as well.
But perhaps what Bryant is most known for was his trademark Mamba mentality, his incomparable work ethic that made him one of the most decorated players in NBA history. Bryant was a 5-time NBA champion, 18-time All-Star, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and an NBA League MVP. For a large part of his career, he was the face of the NBA. Bryant spent all 20 years of his illustrious career with the Los Angeles Lakers. That's the longest tenure for one player to stay on a team in NBA history.
Bryant brought Lower Merion its first state championship in over half-century. Temple Update anchor Kenny Cooper is standing by at Lower Merion High School with more on how the district and the basketball community is handling this tragedy.
Thanks, Brian. The loss of Kobe Bryant was felt around the world, but it hit especially hard right here at Lower Merion High School, Kobe's alma mater. And as you can see, there are tons of fans out here already mourning the loss of Kobe Bryant.
125 reporting, 1 anchor, 1 copter down in medium brush. All units come up on command for assignment.
On the morning of Sunday, January 26th, a helicopter carrying 9 people on their way to a Mamba Sports Academy game crashed in Calabasas, killing college baseball coach John Altobelli, his wife Carrie, and daughter Alyssa, Sarah Chester and her daughter Peyton, basketball coach Christina Mauser, pilot Ara Zoboyan, as well as former NBA champion Kobe Bryant, along with his 13-year-old daughter Gianna. Their sudden deaths sending the world into a state of shock.
As reality began to set in, I broke down in the middle of my kitchen. Next question, please.
Those were the raw emotions of Kobe's high school basketball coach Greg Downer at Lower Merion. Being one of many places Bryant left an impact, fans from around the area came to pay respects at a vigil similar to the ones that have sprung up around Los Angeles. Vanessa Bryant, the mother of Gianna and wife to Kobe, recently released a statement on Instagram expressing deep sadness for the rest of the Bryant family, saying, quote, "There aren't enough words to describe our pain right now." And tributes poured in for the other victims of the crash. Gianna Bryant and Alyssa Altobelli received a tribute from their teammates at the Mamba Sports Academy. The rest of the Altobelli family were mourned at the Orange Coast College baseball opener, the school where John coached.
Each and every one of you, some way, somehow, or this family touched you some way, somehow.
Kobe left a huge impression not only on the sport of basketball, but on fatherhood and the progression of women's sports, which led to the trending Twitter hashtag #GirlDad. Players and coaches from all levels of the sport in Philadelphia have been left stunned by his passing.
You know, it's a tragic loss.
Like, when I heard the news, I just didn't want to believe it.
It's really a travesty. It's crazy.
It was hard to stomach the thought that my idol, someone that I grew up watching,
passed away in such a tragic way.
I got kids, as well, and that's, my heart. I just been struggling with this, the last couple of days.
One crash, 9 lives lost, including 3 children, leaving the world to carry on Kobe's legacy.
One more time. Kobe! 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 Kobe!
Legends are forever, and Kobe's legacy will continue to shape the basketball community for generations to come. For Temple Update, reporting in Armour, PA, I'm Kenny Cooper.
Wow, Kenny, it's such a powerful piece. We thank you so much.
Joining us now to talk more about Bryant's influence is Temple Update's DP Miller.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
DP, we've seen an outpouring of support, all over the world, the country, even from some of the greats like LeBron, Shaq, Kareem, and others. And a lot of times we start to debate. I think it's time we just put that all aside and just appreciate it.
No, I agree. Growing up, I wasn't much of a Kobe fan. So as I got older, I started to appreciate him. But I think it was the comparisons when I was younger that forced me to always feel like I needed to defend LeBron. So what I was seeing live on TV, I didn't really have an appreciation for it. And I think that's the hard part for me, is because as I've gotten older, I started to appreciate Kobe Bryant. I watched highlights, I would see his interviews, and you just understood the impact that he had. And I wish that I could have that moment back when I was too focused on comparing him to somebody else and not accepting him for his own greatness.
DP, obviously Kobe Bryant's daughter Gigi also died in that crash. They had a really special relationship, and we've been seeing that, especially now after the passing. Can you speak on that relationship a little bit for us?
Yeah, so Kobe, he had 4 daughters, but the one that you associated to be the heir apparent was Gigi. She played ball. She had the tenacity that he had. He bragged often about how she was ready to take the mantle. She wanted it. He talked to Jimmy Kimmel Live, and he told a story about how when he go out in public, people would tell him hey, Kobe, have a son, somebody to carry on the legacy, and Gigi would stop them and say, yo, I got this. I'm ready to be the next. And so I think that's the hard part about it, is because she was supposed to be the one to carry on the Mamba mentality.
Yeah, as we've heard, that Kobe didn't really go to many basketball games after his retirement, but his daughter Gigi was very involved and wanted to get very active in that. So if you could explain to us a little bit about what the Mamba mentality means and what we can learn from it.
So Mamba mentality is being the best version that you can be every day, giving it everything that you have. And it's not just about basketball, right? The idea that he was a basketball player, no, Kobe was more than an athlete. Kobe, you got to remember, after he retired, within the first 3 years of retirement, he won an Academy Award. Right. So he wasn't just a basketball player, but that was the thing. He always showed you that what he could do was beyond the realm of possibility what you believe, right? You got to remember his first stint before Shaq was traded and with the Lakers. It was said that once Shaq left, he would never win a championship again. Shaq went down to Miami, won the championship with Dwayne Wade, and Kobe was almost hell-bent on proving to you I can do this. He stuck it out with the Lakers, and then he came back and won 2 more championships. So that's just the Mamba mentality, is that picking a goal and then attacking it and never accepting failure. I remember Kobe said that to him, failure didn't exist. And people was what does that even mean? But to him, failure was accepting it. As long as you didn't accept it, you could fail in a day. The next day, you get back up and do it all over again. So you're not a failure. You just had a bad moment.
Truly an icon of the sport and to the world. DP, we thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts and insights. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Kobe's wife, Vanessa, and their 3 daughters, and all the families involved in Sunday's tragedy. Kobe Bryant was 41 years old.
To Temple Athletics now, and women's basketball in a heartbreaker in Southwest Ohio versus Cincinnati Bearcats. Double-doubles from Lena Yang and Mia Davis weren't enough in this one. Cincinnati shoots nearly 52% from the floor and 43% from three-point range, and Temple was simply on its heels all game. Despite a season-low 6 turnovers for the Owls, they take a tough conference loss. Final score, 86-81 Bearcats. Davis and company look to turn it around back on Broad Street versus UCF on Wednesday, but the Knights are locking down the paint early on. The perimeter defense, on the other hand, well, that was a different story. Temple shoots 47% from 3 on the night and totaled 9 buckets from long range. Owls guard Marissa Mackins was responsible for 5 of those. She finishes with 22 points on the night. Tensions ran high for a moment, and the basketball game almost turned into a UFC fight, but back to hoops we go, and some stellar defense from Temple that seals a conference win. Temple beats UCF by a final score, 67-65.
Shifting gears to the men's side, they continue to struggle. The offensive woes continue for the Owls as they shot just 4 of 12 from beyond the arc. Napier Louis led the way with 20 points, and Napier Louis, Quentin Rose, and Jake Forrester were the only Owls in double figures in this one. Only 6 Owls scored, and clearly it was not enough. They dropped this one 78-63. Now, Sean, the men went 1-7 in the month of January. What's going on?
I'm sure they're happy that January is over now, but there's a couple problems going on, and I think it starts with the guard play. You have Nate Pierre-Louis and Alani Moore. They're kind of the lead guards on this team, and one guard, Nate Pierre-Louis, only drives, and the other guard, Alani Moore, mainly only shoots, right? So that kind of is a weird juxtaposition that they have where they can't have a guard that does it all, and it really makes things tough for the offense. Quentin Rose tries to do a lot, but of course he sometimes takes some bad shots, and that puts a lot of pressure on the guards, and they're not really fulfilling that.
You're exactly right. Quentin Rose tries to do a lot for this team. So my father told me, we were watching the game at Penn this past weekend, and he was like, it looks like it's a black hole. He gets the ball in and it never comes out. He's always driving in the hoop, and that's a big, you mentioned the guard play. The team's very one-dimensional. It's hard to get, it's hard for an offense to get going when you're very one-dimensional, and that's what Temple is. They have guards who drive, can't shoot too well, and it's hard for them without a dominant big man to get going on offense.
And look, this was a team that prided itself on its defense earlier in their season, and now, lately, watch that Penn game. They couldn't stop Penn early, and they didn't get on the board until 9 minutes into the game, so the defense needs to step up. This could also be, first-year head coach Aaron McKee. It's always a tough transition with the first-year head coach. Of course, I think McKee's going to do a good job with this team going on, but the first year is always a tough transition.
You got to think, Temple got down very early to Penn. They didn't score a point in the first 9.5 minutes of the game. That begs the question, where are the leaders on this team? Quentin Rose, Nate Pierre-Louis, and J.P. Mormon, they're captains, but are they leaders? How? They cannot go 9.5 minutes without a bucket in the game. That baffles my mind.
And it's certainly disappointing, especially after coming off an NCAA tournament bid last year. And, it's been a very crazy season for basketball, and that seems to be the trend at Temple Athletics right now, including the football team, who's dealing with the frenzy that is the NCAA transfer portal.
Absolutely. Last week we brought up Quincy Roche heading to Miami and Kenny Yeboah heading to Ole Miss, and Todd Centeio having an official visit to Colorado State. Well, we can now make it official. The redshirt junior quarterback will be taking his talents to Colorado State, where former Temple head coach Steve Adazio is currently at the helm.
It's certainly always an interesting offseason at 10th and Diamond, and I could talk about it all day, but unfortunately, it's time for us to go. Be sure to keep up to date by following us on Twitter at TU Sports Desk.
And we'll be back here same time and place next week. Hopefully Adam Miller will make a full recovery, but for my partner Sean McGeehan and the entire crew here at Temple Timeout, I am Brian Steinmetz. Hug a loved one today, and have a great weekend, everybody.